The Presbyterian Church holds the 10th position among the largest evangelical denominations in Brazil. Although it shares many doctrines with other evangelical churches, some of its practices, doctrines, and customs stand out for being quite controversial and generate debates among other denominations. These peculiarities have led to questions and criticisms, being seen by some as heresies. In this video, we will explore these issues in detail, analyzing the pros and cons of each of these doctrines. It is important to remember that if you are part of the Presbyterian Church, your participation in the comments is very welcome. Defend, explain, and contribute to the discussion about these doctrines, enriching our understanding and promoting a constructive dialogue about the different practices within the evangelical context. Stay with us until the end to get a broad and in-depth view of this complex and intriguing topic. Presbyterian services are known for their impeccable organization and well-structured sermons, often addressing complex theological concepts. Because of this, Presbyterians are often labeled as cold, unenthusiastic, and overly intellectual, seen as people who have a lot of light in their heads but little fire in their hearts. In contrast, other more enthusiastic Christians may classify them as ignorant regarding the power of the Holy Spirit. However, Presbyterians respond to these criticisms by stating that a truly cold service is one that lacks genuine spiritual vitality. They argue that the true joy generated by the gospel does not manifest in a superficial frenzy or chaotic environment, like a gospel carnival. Even though their services may seem cold due to their order, silence, and organization, these characteristics create an ideal environment for reflection and Bible study, allowing for greater concentration and tranquility. It is important to understand that this order and serenity are not signs of spiritual coldness. On the contrary, for Presbyterians, this structured approach is a way to honor and deepen their faith, providing a space where spirituality can be cultivated in an introspective and reverent manner. Therefore, the Presbyterian service, although it may appear more restrained, is a sincere and profound expression of their devotion and commitment to the gospel. For Presbyterians, creating an orderly environment is essential for the Holy Spirit to operate and for God's word to be received with fervor. In contrast, they consider that more emotional and exuberant services are not necessarily a sign of true spirituality, but rather an unrestrained emotional exaltation. The Presbyterian Church is also known for its practice of baptizing infants, a tradition shared by Lutherans and some Anglicans. Those who oppose this practice argue that baptism is a personal decision that can only be made by a conscious adult, citing biblical passages that refer to the baptism of adults, such as John the Baptist's and the converts in the early Christian communities, including Jesus Christ himself, who was baptized as an adult. They emphasize that the Bible does not mention children being baptized. Presbyterians, on the other hand, justify this practice with the example of Abraham, who received circumcision as a seal of righteousness by faith, and this practice was extended to all 8-day-old children in Israel. In the Old Testament, circumcision symbolized the relationship of the people with God through faith. Even if a child could not believe for themselves, the parents in faith offered the child to God. Thus, they argue that baptism replaced circumcision, just as the Lord's Supper replaced Passover. Infant baptism, therefore, does not imply that children are regenerated, saved, or have personal faith, but is seen as an act of faith by the parents and an expression of the covenant between God and his people. They argue that although the New Testament does not provide clear examples of infant baptisms, there are passages that seem to support this practice. Most evangelicals in our country are against consuming any amount of alcoholic beverages, but Presbyterians generally disagree with this view. For them, there is no passage in the Bible that prohibits the consumption of drinks, such as a glass of wine or other alcohol derivatives. However, the Bible advises living a sober life, condemning drunkenness, with several passages in both the Old and New Testaments warning against excessive use of alcohol.